And those are the headlines for today. Let's get into the bigger news. First up, totally reassuring climate news. COP27. Yeah, those things are still happening. Seems COP26 was as effective as its 25 siblings before it. But I am certain we will nail it this year. And not idle with the future of the species, because it helps us win votes against the ones who don't support it. 27th time's the charm! And it is on that note of optimism, the United Nations Secretary General and multiverse Don Corleone, where his business is saving the planet, Antonio Guterres, called for a climate solidarity pact between rich and poor nations to limit the severity of global warming in a speech at COP27. You can tell he was serious because the proposal emphasises the rapidly closing window to limit the extent of warming, and the fact that he said it's either a climate solidarity pact or a collective suicide pact. Things are getting serious. Then he rung a giant gong and said, "Gutierrez has spoken! Now choose!" And while referring to himself in the third person like that, and the use of props does make him seem like he's really showing off more than trying to save the planet, his point does stand. Referring to the future of humanity as a collective suicide pact does surely make some headlines. Some desperate and much needed headlines that could have been written roughly 20 years ago. And Gutierrez wasn't done there. Oh no. He really had been sitting around with his speechwriter and thesaurus to come up with as many fun and nihilistic phrases as he could to describe the future of the planet. More like he is trialling out some pithy epitaphs for the celebrity species humankind. Fun ideas like, "We're on the highway to climate hell with our foot on the accelerator," and "Humanity has a choice, cooperate or perish." What a fun COP this has been. Humanity has famously been good at cooperating, allowing us to overcome many historical obstacles like murdering other species and building gigantic wonders that stand the test of time. Oh, wait, no, that wasn't cooperation, that was slavery. Sorry, we're really good at slavery. Very good at it. It's just a shame we have finally backed ourselves into a corner we can't slavery our way out of. Oh, not yet anyway. Not until we bail on the former home of humanity and rocket pants our way to Mars, where we can start a new society without woke rules like "don't ruin the planet" and "slavery is bad." Ugh. But all this rising heat will sure teach those snowflakes, won't it? And that is how the war on woke will end. In fire and blood. A solidarity pact would involve countries pushing to slash greenhouse gas emissions in such a way to meet the Paris Agreement 1.5 degree target. A particularly frustrating idea, as it would give Parisians an even bigger reason to brag about their impact on culture, and their inbuilt nihilism won't even allow them to overtly brag about the whole thing like any other human would. On the official agenda for the first time was climate damages, known as loss and damage, where wealthier nations are being called upon to provide financial and technical help to developing countries for them to transform to cleaner energy solutions. This has to be why we refuse to stop building coal mines. You see, the US, Canada and Australia are the worst offenders among rich countries, skimping on their share of tens of billions of dollars pledged to help developing nations fight climate change, right? We'd previously pledged roughly US 100 billion in climate finance each year, starting in 2020, to help poorer nations adapt to climate change and mitigate its effects, but are still at billions of dollars short of that goal. Australia came third on that list with a mere 1.7 billion US dollars shortfall. Just days after COP26 last year, former US Vice President and environmentalist Al Gore said he was disappointed Australia had failed to increase its emissions targets. But here's the thing, Al Gore, fuck you. You think we weren't all disappointed when you failed to guide America away from the darkness in the year 2000? Instead, we got George W. Bush, who dragged us into near-perma war over oil and resources, which drove us to value fossil fuels. We continued to build our economy around them more and more. The continued reliance on the fossil fuels felt like good times would never end, and then we went from having the front-running research into solar power to burying it with our guilt and shame over the wholesale slaughter of indigenous communities upon our arrival in 1770. So we polluted, and we were responsible for the emissions of other countries via our sale of fossil fuels. And I am not sure if you've been paying attention to the budget talks, but we are having a cost of living crisis. We cut $2.4 billion from hospitals during the pandemic. We need the extra coal mines so that we can save up the money for all the pollution that we have not only been responsible for, but the future emissions that we're currently digging up now. Australian negotiators have been among those pushing to include the discussion of loss and damage from climate change to be included on the agenda for the first time. But we need more time. So you don't understand. We dug up a lot. A whole lot. We need time. We need to really save our money. This isn't stop buying avocado toast to save for a house money. This is huge. We probably need to wait out a few of the smaller Pacific nations which are closer to sea level. When a few of them die off, we'll have less reparations to pay, and then we'll be able to start making our alimony payments. We swear. We swear. And while the talks coming out of COP27 are seemingly happy, in the same way that a forced smile on a waitress as a sleazy customer who just left a tiny tip asks, "What time do you get off work?" and promises to show her a good time, because she knows that she'll get no support from management if she were to complain, as the store's nearly dead and it needs every customer it can get, so it has become a safe haven for sleaze, then yes, it's happy. Attendees at the COP27 climate meeting found that the conference internet connection blocked access to the global rights organisation Human Rights Watch, as well as other key news websites needed for information during the talks. The list of blocked sites also includes the blogging platform Medium, Egypt's lone independent news outlet Mada Masa, and the Qatari news outlet Al Jazeera, as part of the Egyptian authorities' efforts to separate vital climate negotiations from human rights issues. If I'm honest with you, Egypt, you're doing it all wrong. You don't need an authoritarian government to control and clamp down on media outlets and go so far as to block independent media outlets within the Wi-Fi at important global events. No, 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 no. The simplest way to do it is the Australian way. Join the Murdoch Empire. With nothing but a few continuous donations from the Conservative government, you'll get all sorts of benefits from joining the Murdoch media family of climate change denial and human rights cover-ups. Need some local news reporters to deny everything that an opposition government might have to say about you and the levers of power? We got 'em! Opinion pieces disguised as news with misleading headlines because, let's be honest, nobody's reading past the headline. We got 'em! A controlling share of national and local media outlets which swallows up and destroys voices of opposition while effectively censoring the dissident voices of the media? You better believe it! Plus, you get plausible deniability, because the press is still free to write about whatever they want, and both you, the leader of the country, and them, the leader of the media empire, can say that you are separate entities and do not work for the others despite the obviousness of the truth. People will eat it up because media literacy is hard to teach, and people who work terrible, low-paying jobs don't have the luxury of time to research things, so find it's much easier to take the media at its word. And with Murdoch media family branches in countries like Australia, the UK and America, you can guarantee there will be a series of countries willing to look the other way regarding your human rights atrocities, as they have enough of their own that nobody talks about, and wouldn't dare open up that door, which is bulging to the point of bursting at the bottom of the stairs, labelled, "Here be atrocities, do not enter unless dumping." And even then, it is only enough to quickly jam something new in there and slam the door shut, let some of them get out. Not that anybody would be there to report on it, except maybe the Guardian, and nobody listens to them because they're part of the woke agenda.